I'm not sure if this will be a surprise to anyone, but milling machines need quite a lot of tooling. Problem is, my tooling's scattered all over my workshop, so it's time to fix that. Now I'm teaming up with Art Captain to do a giveaway of a welder. It won't be this one. This is my TIG welder. We're going to do a giveaway of a MiG 200. Now if that's something you might be interested in, keep watching. Okay, so this used to be my old bench on the balcony when I used to live in an apartment, and I used to have the mini lathe on here, and that was my entire workshop. So I brought it with me here, but really it's a pretty impractical sort of a table for preparing my milling tools. So while this is the main center of my milling tooling with my sort of clamping tools, parallels, more clamping stuff, dead project, random clamping junk, collet block, etc. It's not well ordered, and it's definitely not an efficient use of space. I've got a couple of thick aluminium tooling plates for the mill, a cover. What else is here? This is the slotting head for the maho and the overarm for the horizontal. The rest of the space under here is just kind of wasted. As you can see, the top of it's just a bit of a mess. It's not really usable as a tool setting station because the tools are all sitting on top of it. For tool setting, I set up this 40 taper holder block here on my little welding bench. Now the next spot, plenty of the milling gear is actually in this room in my general sort of purpose junk shelves. End mills are here, which really need to be close to the mill. Angle plate, fixture plate, rotary table, all that stuff should be near the mill. It'd be nice to have at least a couple of clocks close to the mill as well. There's even some random dribs and drabs. Like here under the sink cupboard, that's a milling plate. There's the tailstock for my little rotary table. When it's not mounted to the mill, this vise lives on this kind of random piece of old furniture down here, as does the spanner used for tightening up the T-nut bolts. Of course, if I need ER32 collets, those are to be found in the bottom drawer behind the tool and cutter grinder, despite being used probably twice as often for milling than for grinding. No, probably 10 times as often. So that's why it's time for this to go and get replaced by something more efficient, more usable, and better. Okay, I fished this drawer unit out of the local classified ads. Yeah, I only paid 40 bucks for it, which is a fantastic price for this sort of thing. And the thing weighs a ton. Nice and solid. It's from the German company Garant. It all looks pretty darn nice with sort of stiffness around it, nice thick steel. Didn't come with the key, but it's only in my own shed, so I don't care about that. Yeah, I think this is going to be the heart of my new tool caddy. So while these drawers are very nice, unfortunately, they violate the corporate design standards, so let's do something about that. Luckily, this extrusion for the hand grip is only riveted on with 3 pop rivets, so let's pop them off. Right, I'm only going to do the very fronts of these. I wonder how well paint sticks to what I assume is powder coat. Guess we'll find out. You can see these needing 2 coats. Since my last fabrication project went so well without a real plan, I think I'll stick with that idea. This cabinet's going to be at the top of this sort of table stand thing, and I'll kind of design and work my way down from there. I already chopped up a few lengths of angle iron. These are all slightly overlaid because I don't know where the parts are going to end up. One slight challenge is that I don't really want to weld frame parts. I don't want the heat burning off this powder coat or paint or whatever it is. I'm sort of going to do a top frame which bolts onto these parts. Everything below here is going to be welded so I can finish the bird cage, drop this in, and then put the top on and bolt it into place. It's kind of the idea at least. So that's going to be 605 by 635. Right, well, I found that the tape wasn't really rigid enough, so this will help clamp these in and keep them nice and rigid in the corners. I also added a couple of layers of tape under each angle iron, just to give me a wee bit of clearance, so that once it's all welded up and that, I should still be able to get this out. I've also noticed there's a bit of a bulge here in this corner, so let's try and flatten that a bit. That's better. Now I started off angle grinding these little pieces, but unfortunately Mrs. Rotary's got a lot of work at the moment and her office is close enough to the basement, and both angle grinding and also the bandsaw make horrible noises, so I had to resort to doing this with hacksaw and file. And even there I got banished from doing this on this vise. I had to do it on the old little vise over in the shed. However, in some ways that was probably an advantage. If I'd done all of this with the angle grinder, I probably wouldn't have taken the time to get the fit up quite as perfect. This one's got a wee bit of a offset, and this one's got probably nearly 1 millimeter of gap. Now before I do a cleanup grind on all these surfaces and start tacking and prepping for weld, I just need to make up some little pieces which nestle into those corners, which will be welded to the outside pieces, and then pick up a screw from the corner. As you can see, the sharp edge here I've already knocked down so it nests in properly. So there you can see that little strap that's going to tie the edges together. It's all a bit of an overkill really, just to prevent having to weld against the paint job here, but hopefully it all pays off, all this mucking around. This is the perfect jig for setting it all up for tacking, but just to protect the powder coat, I'll just throw some little plates of sheet metal down. A while ago, Arc Captain reached out to me to see if I would join their affiliate program, and they sent me this AC/DC 200 amp TIG welder. I really like how after it goes through its initial startup cycle, it shuts down the fan unless it really needs it. It's nice and quiet, like basically silent for most of the time. Now about this welder giveaway, here are the rules. The welder will be an Arc Captain MiG 200 MIG welder. It'll be brand new and drop shipped directly to the winner. To enter, you must be over 18 years of age, a subscriber to this channel, and you have to live either in the United States or in the EU. The welder is going to be given away. Whoever can guess how many times I dipped the tungsten into the work while making this video. So to the email address which is listed below, send your guess and your contact email. This email address will only be active for a bit over a week, but your entry has to be in before midnight Central European time on Sunday the 18th of August 2024. Now if multiple people choose the right number, then there'll be a draw by either my lovely wife or our #1 fan Nico, depending who I can arrange for it, to choose the winner. If no one gets exactly the right number, then the person closest will be the winner. And if for some reason the first winner is ineligible or doesn't provide an address or something like that, then it'll go to the second closest. Then the giveaway will go to the second closest. Okay, I just wanted actually to purge the nozzle there, but I was close enough that it even caused a long arc of probably 10 millimeters or so. Weird, now my helmet's gone dark and it's not lightening back up again. That time my helmet didn't darken at all. Right, well I just changed my battery on the helmet, although the battery I took out is also still showing over 3 volts, so really not sure what the issue was there. With the new battery it is, and like pointing the helmet at the sun, it does go dark, so let's try another weld and see if it's working. Okay, so it just clicked dark there for no reason. I'll just do one more tack there because that looks kind of tiny, that second tack I did. Right, next is this back right corner. Yep. Not good. I think I touched the tip. Right, let's try that again. Helmet just didn't darken again. It makes it hard to weld when you have to turn away immediately. There, the helmet was flickering. Right, well, I suspect the problem I have in here is just very bright LED lights all around because I'm in the weld mode. I've got them set to fast reaction and I set the sensitivity quite high, but in the darkness it's about medium. I'll just turn the overhead lighting off. Let's see if that improves things. So now I'm just lit with one big video light. Helmet still flashed a couple of times. Of course, as soon as it flashes, it gives you a bright spot on the eyes, makes it really hard to see after that. Don't know what's wrong there, but the helmet's really not reacting properly. I'm just switching over to my old helmet and seeing if that makes a difference. No, I'm also getting flashes with that one, so it must just be the lighting here in this area. I think I'll move into the other room, because in that room it's quite a bit darker, and it seems like when I was welding in the other room the other day, it worked perfectly. Have any of you guys had issues with like LED lighting and welding helmets? And now the last corner, front left. I guess I'll start by welding out these corner reinforcements first and then go on to the flat bits. Got flashed from the helmet again there. Now I'm half blind again. I might give a bit more stick out to my tungsten, maybe that helps a little. I can't even see whether that weld's good or bad because of the flash in my eyes. Come on, helmet! You're driving me fucking crazy here. It's on weld, it's not on grind. I'm pretty happy how that looks. I think I probably should have started taping off the power a little bit earlier because since the heat affected area gets wider and wider, I guess I got too hot towards the end. I can certainly see the advantage of putting the effort into the fit up because if this fit up's nearly perfect, this really isn't that difficult. Now, did it curl up into a Pringle? Okay, it's lying flat that way. Oh, and it's lying flat that way as well. All right. Yep, no rock. Cool. Nail time. They're ratcheting legs. Nice little built-in ratchet to bring the big stopper down or bring it back up again. Feel like quite a nice solid metal casting, nice steel tops, so hopefully that'll get the job done. If you want to use something like this on one of your projects, I'll leave a link below. So heavy duty full pull-out drawer slides, 4 sets. So next up I'm going to need 4 spreaders for the sides. They need to be 630 millimeters each. And I think that's just about this length. Nope, they're too short. So they'll have to be the spreaders for the front and back at 600. Right, well, since fixturing off this cabinet works so well, let's repeat that. Right, let's join this lid part to the legs. Okay, well I'm glad I've mocked this up because I think this is going to be just too high like this, especially once casters raise it up another 8.5 centimeters. Okay, so the original plan was this side. The top, the tool cabinet, the muffin tray with the shorter SK40 tools, the tall SK40 tools, and then here at the bottom, I was going to do a 360 high drawer to put all my big accessories into. So this is about 360 high, but if I lay it down flat, it's only like 24 centimeters. So I could save 12 centimeters in height just by laying that flat. So if I lay that flat, I gain 12 centimeters there. I was going to put a frame piece at the bottom and then the casters completely underneath. But if I move the casters up to like here, make this lower drawer sort of drop down to take up that space between the casters and make that 240 and put the spreader beam above there, I reckon that should work, and it'll lower the top down by 6 inches, and I think that's about what I want. Right, now I did a pretty long series of videos where I overhauled the gearbox on this DoAll saw, but unfortunately it doesn't work that well. If I push too hard, the band falls off. The blade, I should say. And anytime I take the pressure off my cut, it tends to fall out of gear. Like that. And I've removed the gear change mechanism because that wasn't holding it in gear. So at the moment I have to manually go in, put it back into gear, and then keep cutting. Yeah, this gets pretty old pretty fast. You can see why I'm still using a hacksaw for a lot of this stuff, or the angle grinder. I really need to find time to fix this gearbox. Anyway, with the upright shortened, I can now move on to doing the spreaders. Okay, I screwed that up. This is supposed to be between the pieces. I didn't subtract the width of the two legs. Pretty ugly tack. Okay, now with two sides tacked up, I'm guessing I should probably disassemble it, weld out these two side frames. Well, I can still rotate them around and get good access. And then once those are welded out, then reassemble and put in the spreaders for the other direction. Is that how you'd do it? Or is it better to do the whole frame in one go, tacking, and then go through and weld out everything at the same time? I checked welding tips and tricks, and I need to start welding on the outside corners. So I'll do that first. Now on this auto darkening lens that I'm using on my camera, I was having some trouble with it staying dark and not opening back up after the welding stopped. So I was told to increase the delay and reduce the sensitivity. So I'll see how that works. I think I have my camera set for slow motion here, which of course kills the audio, so oops, sorry about that. So the sides are welded, 3 spreaders are only tacked, so I guess I'll unmount the box and weld those out. Boy, it's starting to get heavy. Oops. low quality lever. So check out these two welds, right? This one, which does have a crater at the end, and this one, which was even done left-handed, and compare them with these welds here and here. You can see I kind of fell victim to Murphy's Law. Welds on the top and front that are really visible will always be the ugliest welds. Right, I'm going to need some pads to bolt the feet to. Got this bit of leftover steel. Should be easily able to get the 4 out of that. You know, this is the sort of job where, with a little more foresight, I could have arranged to get this laser cut with the holes in it and everything. Right, the easiest way to get most of the old paint off is just a scraper. Right, I'll just tack those all together for drilling. It's good, it'll go a long way towards rounding the corners as well. Right, the question now is, do I put these right on the corner, drill through and just tap once I've welded, or do I just pop them out that far from the corner that the holes are nice and clear? There'll be a slight overhang, but yeah, nah, it saves a lot of dicking around. I know I should be wearing long sleeves while welding, but it's been a really hot and quite humid summer here. Now the weather here is not normally hot enough that I can reliably dry a whole set of Chipotlis. I tend to cut them in half so that they will dry faster, also that the smoke can get in and out of them. And then my lovely wife makes a batch of Abodo sauce out of them pretty much straight away. So it doesn't really matter if they're not completely dried out. That's more important if you want storage, right? I'm hoping that the chili plants have another nice flush of jalapenos so that I can also pickle some. This is my wood dust and chips for smoking. Got to pack it down really well going around the corners so that it does actually smoulder around the corner and doesn't go out. I've had some suggestions. Some people actually put this whole thing in the oven then for a couple of hours just to make sure the wood chips are extremely dry. Seems like that also helps keep it ignited. I found it was important to mix in some nice fine, like more dust like sawdust and not just wood chips. The dust sort of helps it keep ignited. Now with that top frame and the main frame done, and the cabinet's already set up, the next thing I'm going to need are my 3 drawers further down. A couple of years ago I picked up 2 of these muffin trays for tooling, so it's going to be 2 drawers with these tool holders. It's kind of unfortunate that you can't just press these tool holders out. You know, the way this piece of sheet metal got beading done on it, these press in, but you got to cut them out. And they're the wrong shape to fit anything because they're very wide. The way they've offset the tool holders makes for pretty high density, but means you can't easily just cut a smaller set. Now since this tool cabinet's not square, I've sort of been playing around with these things, and by the time I put the 40mm structure around things, I couldn't get the full width of these tools in this way. To make this work, I do need to cut off 1 row of tool holders, and also probably cut off most of this here. That's doable. That's what angle grinders are for. But I will need an angle iron to mount to the slide. We'll go about there. Whereas on this side, I end up not clearing. Bugger. Looks like I'm going to have to take off a second row of tool holders, leaving just 21 per level. At this stage, after owning the mill for years, I've only got 19 tool holders, so space for 42 still looks pretty good. I guess I can get away with a tool height of about sort of 18 centimeters, pick up almost all tools that I have, and then Just need a few slots for my taller tools, especially my Tapmatic, my boring head, and probably this Morse holder if it's got a drill in it. So I guess the next thing I can do is cut down this muffin tray. Now after a bunch of cutting, grinding and welding, I've cut down my tool tray and welded some angle iron to the sides for my drawer slides to mount to. Right, my argon bottle's empty and it's a Sunday, so I just need a couple more welds and I think I'll do them with stick. It's only thin stuff, so I guess oh no, those are tiny, those are 1.5 or something. I'm looking for the 2.5s. So these are 2.5mm 7013s, ACT, DCT and MMA, that looks about right. Drop that down to about 70 amps. Right, guess that's all you need to set. Right, so there's the top drawer installed. Kind of a fiddly bit is getting this drawer all set up and lined up and its holes drilled. Two drawers done, I now need to flip it up to put the feet on, so then I can work out how the bottom drawer works. Damn, this thing's getting heavy. Okay, this is another one of those decisions I probably should have thought through a bit better. This bottom drawer is going to have all the heavy stuff in it. I think I'll make it with a box of angle iron, and I've got this somewhat scungy old piece of, this is 4mm plate, so if I make the bottom out of that and weld it to this, that's a good start. This will obviously lift up off the floor at least probably a centimetre or so, and then for the bits with bigger gaps, I've got a bit of copper bar left over from when I made chuck jaws, so I'll just clamp that. Obviously got a bit hot at the end, but still filled the gap. Right, the shelf's done. These are the best two welds I did. You know, I quite like arc welding. I know everyone wants you to do TIG or MIG on the internet, but I really do quite enjoy this. Okay, so next up, need a couple of stair-shaped spacers. This one up like this, making kind of a zigzag sort of shape. Mail time. This is from Robert in Sweden. It was very kind of him to put in a nice handwritten note. Robert contacted me because he found a Schaublin tool holder on the Swedish auction site. Robert's got a great Instagram channel, so I'll leave a link to that below. And I really appreciate that he packed out this box with all these large end mills and a tool holder. Thanks a lot, Robert. And in the bottom of the box, I found a couple of his stickers. This is from Robert in Germany. Robert watched my video on my 3D probe from Heimer and said he had a leftover tip from back when he used to use them. Oh wow, that's very generous of you, Robert. Thank you very much. I assumed you just had an extended length probe that you wanted broken. But with this, I'll be able to get a replacement and break that as well. I'll try and look after it as best I can. Thanks very much. Because I've received so many generous gifts of milling cutters, I needed some more tool holders. So I fished these out of the German classifieds. Yeah, pretty good deal. 20 bucks a piece. All brand name ones, all look in good condition. So I got a 25mm Welding because I was given these nice big 25mm end mills. This is a 27mm for driving this sort of style of shell mill. It looks like I need to make up an intermediate flange with the drive lugs in it. 20mm Welding and 2 ER16s. Luke from Belgium advertised on the German Zerspannungsbude forum that he had some boring bars. So as you can see, it's an assortment of different sizes. It was really nice of him to allow us to choose an assortment. So this is like the biggest one. I think it's 7 or 8mm diameter. That's what it bores to. And the littlest one is this one, I think for 2 or 2.5mm. I also got a couple for grooving. This one cuts a little rounded groove and a squared off groove. So these are all manufactured by the company Garant. You can see the G, U umlaut H in the middle of the part number there. They like nice long part numbers, don't they? And all of them have this 45-degree chamfer ground into the end of the shank. I'm assuming that that is used to index the tool. So you'd need some sort of a specialized holder that's got a matching taper, which should force the tool into the correct alignment and put it on center height. Right, now I've got that lower drawer sorted, plus the 2 tool drawers. One of them's not fitted. It's time to start looking at the top. First up, I've got this nice beech plywood slab, which is 600mm wide, so that's good. Just going to need a little bit of relief down inside for the connecting bits so that it sits right down. But unfortunately this piece was slightly too short. That's going to be okay because part of the plan is to put 2 rows of tool holders over the back for like when I've got a number of prepared tools for a part, then I can just, you know, set them all up, have them all dialed in and ready to go one after the other. So these ones are about 80mm tall, so I'm going to need thicker bit of wood. If they stick down too far, they're going to run into my cabinet underneath. So I'll double it up as a riser at the back. And because that wood's still not quite thick enough for the full 80mm, at least at the back where there's some structure on the cabinet module, I'll put a second layer at the back so my tools will be at 2 different heights. And then close everything off with this piece, kind of like that. So let's go do some chopping. Quick prep for glue up. Well, with all its stains, this side's definitely the bottom. Right, that's how I'm going to glue up the stack. Right, that's dried nicely because I was away for a couple of days. Had to go to Munich for work. My flight over was delayed because the plane was late, and then that was the first half-hour delay, then half-hour delay because they had to reboot the Airbus, and then another half-hour delay because by that stage some passenger had decided they weren't going to fly with us and they had to remove baggage, and then by then the slot was of course long gone, and then we had a slot delay, so 2 hours delay total. But on the way back, then they cancelled my flight and I had to come back with the train. Maybe I should have done these holes before I glued the wood, but I wasn't sure which way around would be easier. Probably more speed, huh? Man, this is going to make one hell of a mess. But it seems to be cutting quite nicely. Well, this really is slow going. So I tried swapping out to like the shell cutter, but that doesn't work at all on this. It just bogs down. So I'll just get a nice alignment boss started on each one, and then switch to this carbide insert cutter, which has got one broken off tooth, but I think still works, to clear out the cores. Yes, so this is what I've been working on for the last month, 6 weeks, I guess.
It looks very cool. What are the round things for?
I put in these plastic bits and then put all my prepared tools in here, the ones that I'm going to be using.
I've got a much better idea. I think this would be really useful in the kitchen. Like those round holes, I would put my spices and my pretty little jars in it. I think that would look very good.
Right, I need to panel this up. I was considering using like some steel sheet, but I decided on wood. It was easier for me to get. So I just need to fit this last panel. I think it's slightly too large. Yeah. This is the sort of job where I'm always far too conservative about making cuts. Like, I'll typically end up doing like 4 or 5 trips to the saw to cut off like a fraction of a millimeter each time, when really an extra millimeter just wouldn't matter. Now to mount those boards, I'm going to need like 4 brackets per side, total of 12. So someone told me off last week for not using my bandsaw and only using a hacksaw. Well, as I have 12 of these to weld into place, I've just made a little wooden like spacer thing to set them up. Saves having to do them all manually. Whoops. I'm in AC, I meant to be in DC. I'd left the welder in the stick welding mode, pushed it once, ended up in AC. That's not what I need. That's it. So this is a new bottle of gas. Oh yeah, that's way too high. Put about 12, I guess. Now let's check it out at the gun. It's showing only about 8. Right, today's Wednesday, and each day this week has so far felt like Groundhog Day. Because each day I figure I'll come down the basement, I just have to do my 3 drawer fronts, and then I'm done and I'm ready to prep and paint the thing. But Monday, spent all evening on it, didn't quite finish drawer number 1. Tuesday, finished drawer number 1, got the frame for drawer number 2 ready. Now it's Wednesday. Theoretically I'm going to finish the frame for door number 3, put both fronts on, and be ready to prep for painting. Let's hope that works out. Okay, as the week progressed, I again got that sinking feeling that I wasn't going to get everything finished, ready to have it all painted and a video edited by Sunday. But my last thing I need to do is just the wooden fronts for those, so I must be able to get that done. Somehow I got a pretty nasty angle through here, so I'm going to have to kind of fake it a bit with lines, I think. So the hand grips I'm using are from IKEA. They're called Billsbro. I think the wonkiness of this last panel is something I haven't been looking forward to doing at all. Sort of trying to distribute the errors, and then I'll just tweak these gaps and stuff at the end to fake like it's probably sort of looking square. Yay! With those bits finally done, just need to disassemble and start prepping for painting. Well, I've noticed in the time it took to fit out all the different drawers and stuff, I've picked up a wee bit of surface rust, so I'll just go through and knock that down. Right, since I did a pretty shitty job of these welds down the edge, I might just put a little bit of bog on them so that no one will ever know that I did a crappy job of it. Right, once the undercoat had dried for a couple of days, it was time for a top coat, and you guessed the colour. I gave the whole thing 2 top coats, a couple of days apart, so they could dry really nice and hard. Need to put a maker's mark on this. That's upright, so it's going to go about here. I've tried putting the paint on with the roller before, but the paint's too slippery and it just kind of rolls around, so I'll try it this time with just a cotton bud. So once those chilies were smoked, my lovely wife turned them into Abodo, Chipotli sauce. And we left the jalapeno plants to get on with making the next batch. Well, I gave these a second coat of paint, which I didn't bother to video because, I mean, it's just painting, right? And luckily it's a nice sunny day here today, so look at that. They're all nice and dry. Right, final assembly. Let's start with the feet. Looks like I should probably clean the paint out of these threads. So now I can panel up the sides. A bird crapped on this panel while it was drying. Gross. Right, the next big question, due to the extra paint thicknesses, does this cabinet still fit? All right. A few drawer fronts and we're nearly finished. Alrighty, this has been a way bigger project than I expected. It's taken me much longer than I expected, but now let's start filling it. Ages ago I got some of these kind of foam sheets and I haven't really used them, so I think I'll use them to line the drawers. My tool setter goes on here. So I think this top drawer is going to be like my setup tooling. So I'll just put in a liner for that as well. Will that close? No. Okay, so I'll have to cut out some of that liner for this, but things like my 19mm spanner that I use all the time, that's the sort of stuff that'll go in this top drawer. Drawer 2 will be in mils. I'll probably have to put some sort of other sorting system in here there eventually, but for now I'll just put them in like that. And drawer number 3 can be clamping hardware, parallels, clamps, the toe clamps can come in here, 1, 2, 3 blocks, parallel set. Wonder if my little grinding vise will fit too. Oh yeah, cool. So there it is finished. I'll have to try it out in various different locations to work out what works best to work around the Maho. But all in all, I'm really happy with how it's come out. And it's going to be a great improvement on my workflow, I think. Thanks a lot for watching.